Welcome to One Bite at a Time, a podcast where I, Chef Wu,
and I, Chef V,
discuss the hospitality and culinary sector from both our professional and personal experiences,
and touch on all the things that make us smile, cry, laugh, shout, and celebrate, all whilst trying to figure out how to set the standard.
One bite at a time. On today's episode, we are joined by a culinary icon, an absolute sensation, the one and only Chef Fregz. There's only one Fregz, and if you don't know who this man is, you're a dirty liar.
I don't know why he's acting shy. I don't know why he's acting shy, but Chef Fregz is one of, if not the pioneer of Nigerian private dining. And I believe it's been maybe now like over 15 years.
Or at least 15.
At least 15 years since you first established yourself here. So I think we've gashed you up, but we'd love to hear a bit more about yourself and introduce yourself, Fregz.
First of all, you lot, you know when you have like culinary sisters, if are just, you know them off camera and they're just, and now we have to like talk on a podcast. It's kind of weird. I can't wait for Wumi to be introducing us, speaking English next to my name, because Wumi's not a serious girl. My name is Bubemi Fregene, Chef Fregz. Quick story, Chef Fregz was an accident, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Chef Fregz I was in Paris for school, and on my social media, Facebook was hot at the time. Then Twitter came around, and I had to do a Twitter handle. So don't calculate my age too much, but I was on Grooveshark at the time, people that pioneered Spotify, and I was Mr._Fregz. So I was going to put Mr._Fregz, in my apartment in Paris at the time. And something just said, after you've paid this kind of money to come and learn work, you're going to remove that Mr. and put Chef. Because Fregz is my nickname from school.
Okay.
From secondary school, I've always been called Fregz. So I thought Mr. Fregz, Chef_Fregz. And I didn't think anything of it. Because I was starting to be my life dream of being the chef.
Being a chef.
So people were DMing me like, you real? Are you a chef? I'm just like, Paris, baby. Like, do you think it's a joke? And it just kind of stuck, and like they say, the rest is history.
Sometimes they say accidents, like happy accidents. That's how people have actually ends up.
Yeah, that's how I found the whole Chef Fregz brand. Then, yeah, so like you rightly said, I've been doing this for at least 15 years, just from inception of before Chef Fregz, before going to Paris. I was already like training myself. I started this very small food business. I just let everybody in my family know that this was what I wanted to do. I was working in hotels, shout out to Protea Oakwood time passed. They've kind of upgraded and changed the name, I believe. I worked in so many hotels. Some people said no to me. They didn't think, they thought I was like a spoiled kid.
Okay.
That wanted to work in the kitchen. They just thought that I wasn't going to be like tough enough.
Yeah. But
it was funny to me because my mom had a food business growing up. So I was used to the life and I wanted it so much. But anyway, the rest is history. I'm here. It was nice to be here.
That's amazing.
Can I ask a question? How do you know Fregz?
How do I know Fregz? This is actually a beautiful, when we talk about serendipity, me and Fregz is that. Because my first consulting gig here, I walked in there and the owner of the establishment, it's funny, it's many, and this is why I say serendipity. So the owner of the restaurant has older brothers, and her older brothers went to school with Fregz, so they were his classmates. And when we were doing the gig, she was explaining that, she was going to reach out to him, but she wasn't sure because he was back and forth between London, and so she wasn't sure what she was doing. And then upon searching, she came across me. Cool, great stuff. So I was like, at this time, I was like, yeah, I've been watching Fregz from London. Don't really know him like that. But then she mentioned her brothers went to the school I went to. And then I was like, what are the chances that me too? She was like, you didn't meet him there. I was like, no, he was, big man. Come on. So there was that. And then not long after that, he followed me on Instagram. And I was like, okay, he's seen me. And this was at the point where I was still fresh in Lagos. So like when people...
Can I pause to make the story sweet?
Go on.
So at that time I followed you.
Yeah.
I was like, who's this girl? I like what she's doing. Follow. So just let you know that I was being organic. Never heard of her before. it was purely on Instagram. So continue. So that makes sense.
Okay. And then, so he followed me, and then obviously I'm just like, okay, that's nice. I'm being noticed. Cool. And then I was going for another consulting gig later on that year in Abuja, and I was in the airport and I was lost. You know, like when you go to the airport in London and you know where you're going, it's going to call it up. They don't do that in Lagos, and I learned that the hard way. So I was like, how am I going to know where I'm going? I tried to ask someone for help and I was just there, lost. And I just saw him ahead walking to some, but you know, when someone's walking confidently and they're going, and I just, from the back of his head, I say, I know that head. I know that head. I was just like, Chef Fregz. And he was like, oh, Wumi, so nice to meet you. Da, 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 da. You'd think we'd met before, never met before. And I said, I'm not going to lie. Seeing you here is a blessing, because I needed to figure out where I was going. Cool. He took me to my gate. We sat down, met a mutual friend there. We all just sat down, just said, got on the plane. He was going to Abuja, different flight. So went on mine. He went on his. Get to Abuja. The next day, I'm like, I want to go and eat. My go-to place in Abuja is Vodo. I say this all the time on the podcast. Walk into Vodo. Who is sitting there on the table for one?
Me.
I said, I walked in and you know me. I said, are you stalking me? And he was like, what are the chances? So we sat there. We ordered bare shit off the menu. He paid for everything, as he would. Ate off the pretty much half the menu in Vodo that day. We literally just bought bare.
We just ate through that.
Ate through the menu, and we're just talking about the industry, and he was asking how am I finding it and all of that, and that was it. And ever since then, it's just been, this is my eggbone. This is when I want to fight someone, I call Fregz. When I want to do anyhow, I call Fregz.
When she wants to fight me,
call Fregz. And then the beauty of that is that's just blossomed into, so I helped him with some training for some of his staff. When I was in London, I did my supper club. I called Fregz and I say, I need somebody in the kitchen. He was in London at the time. And do you know the beauty of people like Fregz? They're far and few. But he walked into that kitchen and he was like, I'm yours to use. And this is like your senior player. And
it's one thing I love about him.
Was able to remove that hat and put on the hat of I'm assisting.
You met me.
But that is the beauty of it. And now
you're
Fregz
not
is my
chef, must garnish. Just say the story and let it go.
But Fregz, I mean, it's humbling. It's a humble thing to see how you are. We've been in this, like you said, 15 years, and
but some people don't think I'm humble. By the way, let me just add that.
Oh, you're not. You have your moments.
No. Some people don't see me in this light, but that's a different.
But they'll be okay. It's not for them to see. It's not for everyone to see.
You're proud, which you shouldn't be.
I'm confident.
You're confident, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Anyway. Yes, and I'm proud of myself. Yeah. And let me quickly say that actually took me a while. As somebody who has dealt with a lot of personal imposter syndrome, personal low self-esteem, finding this. So at a point, it's just like, wait, are you crazy? Like, this is your gift. This is your power. Mm-hmm. So if it's the only thing that you have, you're going to stay in it. So I learned how to walk in a room. As far as I was Chef Fregz, I was Superman, and if you like bring kryptonite, it's not affecting me. Like, that's what I had to learn. So yeah.
I know, amazing.
That's great.
I met Fregz, I think 8 years ago.
Wow.
Wasn't no longer than 8 years.
Maybe
ago.
closer. I'm trying to cut my father's age.
I'll say don't talk about that past. It's so long ago.
It has to. It's part of the journey.
And this was for my dad's 50th.
Okay.
And my mom was organizing. She had this amazing house party where she was just showing off. She just comes down. She's like, guess who I've got? Chef Fregz. I remember it so vividly, the way she said this man's name. I was like, who is this guy that is got my mom peacocking around the whole place? The whole party, she was like, Chef Fregz is doing my dinner. Chef Fregz is doing my dinner. Chef Fregz is doing my dinner. It was fantastic. And I just remembered this man coming to our kitchen, taking over. And I think how many people was it for? I
don't remember.
I think it was at least 16.
Yeah, but like about 50. Yeah.
About 60 people, I would say. He just took over the whole kitchen. I just see his team. I just see the way he's just as an army. And this is way before I wasn't a chef. I wasn't even in the food industry. Yeah. I didn't even know I wanted to be in the food industry at this time. All I just saw was that, wow, this is a superstar apparently that's coming to our kitchen and he's running it. And it was fantastic. It's one of the moments in my life that someone made such an impression without me even really speaking to the person because of the aura and the way he carried himself. And I was really, really I was really, really proud of that moment, seeing how you made my family so proud of an event in Nigeria, where typically events in Nigeria, there's always complaints here and there of, oh, this was badly organized, this and that. But the one thing that everyone talked about that day was Chef Fregz. And I have to say, even coming to Nigeria and deciding, when was it, 5 years later, 6 years later, that this was a journey for me. I had to remember, I met you randomly and I had to bring up that day. I was like, honestly, can you imagine now? I'm now a private chef. It's like, you're a chef now?
I won't lie. I wasn't surprised. I was mad. Like, damn, no more parties at the house.
He said that to me. He's like, no wonder your parents have.
I see your dad all the time. Your dad came for my charity event I did in COVID year. I was like, oh, Uncle Tony, you're supporting, but you're not supporting. I'm like, hey.
Now I get it.
Beefed her for a long time.
But you couldn't.
No, I couldn't. I couldn't.
But no, since then it's just been banter. And one thing I love about Fregz, he'll always come into. First, I love that you instantly followed my business page when I bumped into you. I think it was one random event, but even since then, just gingering and helping me laugh with like the stories I put online.
Bruh, I miss your stories. You know what? You and me are destined for each other, because V was doing what you were. You're notorious. V is horrible as well.
Notorious.
Not the BIG fam. So you guys are destined, because I remember. I mean, we've got so there's a chef abroad that I gossip with him, and I'm just like, guy, this V girl, I was really happy with how you were the thing about it as Nigerians sometimes that we're not used to articulation. We're not used to, I said it on the podcast I was recently, that we function in so much dysfunction that when you come and function out of that dysfunction, you now look mad. So you guys came on the scene and were articulating things that are normal to articulate about, but you were the wrong people. Anyway, I won't say more than that for now. The podcast has not even started. One bite at a time.
Okay. That being said, I think it's a wonderful way to kind of go into like the progression of the industry for someone that has been in it for so long. Like, what do you feel like? How do you feel like it has progressed? What was it like then? And it's like now, like, what are the pros or the things that have gotten better, the things that maybe you have seen kind of deteriorate, if any? And how does that feel for you as someone that has lived through those generations or those different eras, so to speak?
I think I'll start from now. I really like what's happening now. I like there's a bit more population, so to speak, whether you're good or whether the person is deemed good or not good. I just like that I love the saturation, and I'll tell you why. I just like that it's now become a thing of pride. Being a chef, when I wanted to be a chef, I'll tell you a story. I wanted to work at Southern Sun Hotel at the time, and my uncle, who knew the MD at the time, sent my CV or like name that I wanted to work there, and he gave my uncle a look like, didn't he go to school? Those were his words. So he thought I was somebody from like the village or someone that wanted kitchen work. I was like, no, he has a university degree, everything. He just wants to be a chef. So they sent me to the kitchen, and the chef at the time looked at me. I think he was Zimbabwean or something. He looked at me like, man, you can't survive a day in my kitchen. He judged me. Now, at the time, this is like, again, 13, how many years ago?
Yeah.
At the time, being a chef was just like, you didn't have anything to do. Tell you another story to emphasize that I like that it's a thing of pride now. A certain multinational that I happen to work with now, they had this big event. They get everyone walking across the country to one spot for like, let's just call it like what do you call those things when you get everybody in a room? Like a strategy week kind of thing. So break time, we serve food. So they paid me to cook for 50 people. My biggest gig ever. I cannot forget being paid 450,000 naira to cook for 3 days for people. Huge money at the time. And I remember somebody was standing in line, and the food was, it wasn't well organized. So people were just lining up. And I made food for just 50. The other caterers made food for all the 300 6 million people that were there, right? So I'm like, with good home training, cordon bleu certified, I go to the line. I'm like, guys, look, the food is going to be finishing really soon. We've even done more than what we're paid for, but I don't want it to run out. And you think like, why didn't I tell you? So please just go to another queue. This manager lady now rolls her eyes and like, oh, you caterers, you take our money and you never bring enough food. And my head didn't go off then.
You're better
I went,
me.
no, it didn't go off then. So I go back and like, no, actually, I explained myself again, like, I was paid for 50. I done 50 plus. And there's still food. But it's just that by the time we get to the line, said, I beg. That's what you people do. You take our money and you don't bring complete food. Don't tell me that. They came to separate us like two cockerels in the fight, apparently, because I just remember losing it. And I remember pointing to my cordon bleu uniform at the time, like, I'm not unfortunate in life, man. Like, I went to school for this thing. Like, don't insult me. So that's kind of the insults we used to collect back in the day.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
That happens to me right now?
Ooh, yeah.
I think I came at the right time.
But guess what? It's something that won't happen now because people now, in fact, my caterer friends tell me something. They're just like, although I always fight them back. They're like, Fregz, your chefs are like high in demand now. Once you're a chef, there's a certain prestige that comes with that name. But we were the people that will set up table, do the big events, and they will still be pricing us pepper. But I was like, people make money in bulk. Y'all are rich. You know, we chefs sometimes, we do a nice gig. Our cost of production may or may not be very high. And we have all these overheads. And by the time we're done, we need like another gig. Well, you guys are doing events back to back. But anyway, that's a different conversation. But the point is, I was collecting insults a few years ago. Now it's a thing of prestige. So I like that.
Yeah.
When I started out in this industry, there were very few of us. I remember Googling like other chefs and whatnot. And the only person I could find at the time was Tiana Lily. She had started like a small, like kids cooking school or something before it grew to become, the Culinary Academy at the time. And it was her, Chef Stone as well, came really early. Had like, I'm honestly really proud of Chef Stone because the dynamite, y'all need to have him on this podcast if you find time in the schedule.
Yeah,
he's always building a restaurant or a truck. But I remember his school in Bagada. I remember when Chef Stone was posting even up to cocktails on TV. We are all very green. That's what I'm trying to say. We were green. It looked like we knew what we were doing, but honestly, we're just following our passions at the time. So I was cordon bleu certified. I remember my friend Dupe South Lagos coming to meet me that, look, she's about to quit her law degree. Like, is this cordon bleu thing really worth it? That, she came to meet me. She gave me some cakes and everything. And that's how we became friends as well. I remember, who else was going to cordon bleu? My friend of blessed memory, Emeka as well. He, went to cordon bleu at the same time Dupe went as well. So we just started to come up at the time. So there was still the struggle for us to be heard. But the good thing for me was, I don't know, favor, grace, everything mixed together. There was just a way I stepped in rooms and places. People were like, oh, we want that. Because it was different at the time.
Yeah.
So doors started to open. People would send me emails like, are you really a chef? Like, they would tell, and when I answer and show them the menus and things I was capable of, they were like, no way.
Yeah.
I remember making food for a couple, and she's my friend now. And she was like, Bubemi, your mashed potatoes. And as a chef, once they call your name and say your lamb chops, you're like, Jesus is Lord. I failed. And she goes, your mashed potato. And I'm like, act fine, but I was scared. I'm like, yeah, what about them? She's like, we're at Heston Blumenthal last year or a few months ago. Your mash is better.
Talk to me nice.
Period.
Can't chat to me no more. Me and those mashed potatoes.
Heston? Me? Nicer? In one sentence, I couldn't put the sentence together. And again, I behaved like I was I went to the kitchen to like faint a little bit. Like I was, so moving forward. But I think the only challenging thing at the time was immediately the audience stroke people started to confuse who was a chef, who was a food blogger, who was a caterer.
We've had this conversation.
So, I would say that I was a child. And I have to thank Wayne for something. She said, Fregz, you're too quiet. You never say anything or not. And my brand, in quotes, has to be just been very chill. This skin color. It's been quite intentional. As dramatic as people think I am, I don't like to start none. But for the sake of doing this thing for 15 years, I said to myself, I think it's fine for people to know that I have a spine and just know some values that I have. I have nothing against a food blogger, a food blogger, a food critic, a caterer,
A food reviewer for a
anybody that is in this space.
ecosystem. Yeah.
There's a girl I follow on Instagram. She's a food science person, and I only just to be posting about the science about food.
Love her.
I love her. No, in fact, I remember then. I always laugh at myself that the Instagram and YouTube of today, we did it a long time ago. But then it was only Bella Nigeria I was writing for Bella Nigeria every week. I would call my friends. Dame Lade Roberts at the time, it was such a trade by barter because I couldn't eat all the food. So you call your friends to eat the food after, and Dame Lade will take the pictures.
That's about it.
So I would send it to Adirian Care. Sometimes invite the Bella Nigeria people. We all eat. Then it started becoming like a ritual. My friends wanted to look forward to it all the time.
Yeah.
So we're doing all that blogging. Atim's brother, William, shot some pictures for me at the time. So I was doing all of that, creating content that so I've been a food blogger. I wanted to blog food, and I remember traveling, doing a food tour in America in 2014. I traveled around America just with the sole purpose of eating. I was watching the Food Network and I was making notes, and we'll talk about the places that were disappointing later on. But the point is, I did all of that, right? So I've been a food blogger too, but I needed there to be a clear distinction because they will call you for an event, and there was sometimes not a clear cut idea, and I wanted people to be sane and safe in their identities, and to equal Uko, for example, in an idol of mine, but she's not a chef, and it's okay to say that, but I think everybody started seeing how quickly this chef thing was like the golden fleece, and everybody wanted to put it on. I was just like, no, it's fine. You don't have to, because I just understand the kind of work that I do, the kind of, my work that I do and the work that I do are two different things, two very, very different things.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's a challenge at the time, which has kind of segued into the present. But another good thing I would say about the time was, in my own era, and I don't mean to be shady or anything, there were some of us that I found that were really serious about our craft. We were serious about our craft, and we did it. And I don't want to say those days are gone or anything, but I just remember those days that it was, I'm not trying to gatekeep. Like I said, I led with the fact that I'm happy that the market is saturated. There's something at every tier. So for example, a business I love so much, Rent a Chef. What Bossa is doing is Chef V is incredible. If you want Chef Joel at 250k a day, you got it. And if you want the people that are going to just make your eggs, yam and stew in your house as a personal home chef, you have that as well. There's range. I like that. But there's this group of us at the time. I remember when Alex just moved to Nigeria of Exo Bakery, and when Michael just moved to Nigeria. It was just, maybe it was some of us that came up together at the time. I remember when Michael was building Eton, it was supposed to be like this real restaurant. Then he didn't, then he pedaled back. Then he became the monster, restaurant still that he became. Remember when, Alex was looking for like a spot and everything, and EXO started from one place and has become this month, just seeing, I think maybe just seeing my own peers at the time grow as well, seeing TN, build Culinary Academy, build Tarragon, because I just felt like we did things very properly at the time. And I really like that.
Yeah.
I really like that. Now, I find that this restlessness and this almost unhealthy desire to be a chef now makes people do things that to me are not very chef-like. Now make them
do you think that's driven by the digital space?
I think it's driven by the digital space. And also it's like the way we say Nigerians, we don't allow anything rest. He would have actually does Guinness World Record. Everybody wanted to break a record.
Yep.
Or like even us, probably be with us Nigerians. Leave Amapiano for the South Africans. No, we're going to overtake them. It's in our nature, I guess. But like I said, it's also cost, a little bit, I don't want to use the word recklessness, but people just want to quickly establish chef in their name. I saw somebody doing a video that made me, I was like, you are not just a chef, you're a brand or something like that. And I'm just like,
that's not true.
I'm just like, there's now this thing about putting the brand before the thing. I did set out, I'll be very honest with you. One of my idols in life, Jamie Oliver, Gordon Ramsay, right? Jamie, because I watched as a young boy, I knew I really liked to cook, right? When you're an African boy, you can't really come and say, oh, I like to cook. Come on, you can be an accountant, a doctor, a lawyer. And I was going to be a lawyer. I really wanted to be a lawyer. Yeah, I wanted to be a lawyer. And my mom reminded me that I had to, like, damn, that's true. I'm not patient.
Shout out to mommy.
My mom was like, I think you're going to fail woefully as a lawyer. You cannot research a case. And my grandfather is an incredible son, but reading for, she was like, look at how much you read for your grandfather. Do you want to do that personally? I was like, fam, you're right. You know, I realized that I had a passion for being creative and all of that. So, sorry, train of thought. Anyway, point is, that era I miss of us doing things properly. And like today's people, I'm happy again for the saturation.
Yeah.
But, it's caused some problems.
Yeah.
Lines have
I
been
want
blurred.
to interject there because I think in one of our episodes we literally had this conversation.
Yeah.
Having to differentiate one, what are you providing offline versus online? Like, the craft is what's important.
Yeah.
You have to really understand what it is you want to provide in this industry as a if you're saying you want to be a chef, what is it that you're trying to provide? It's not just saying, oh, I want to be a chef, let me start posting online and doing things. People forget that it's actually a profession. It's a craft.
Profession, yeah.
It takes dedication, it takes education, it takes experience, it takes skill before all those other things of putting yourself out there. And one thing I when we were even talking about being online and your presence, I think sometimes people will even forget just how decorated you are professionally.
Yeah.
Sometimes when, you know, they look at your Instagram and they might just see, oh, this brand ambassador, this, that, or I'm now.
We don't put in the work.
Oh, I'm like, no, Fregz is still working.
I'm still working.
You know?
I think the problem is I don't put a lot of my work on Instagram.
And that's when you said, Bo said you're too quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let me tell you why I don't put a lot of my work on Instagram. So I set out to be private chef because I felt like I could have gone I was doing catering before I went to Cordon Bleu. When I got back from Cordon Bleu, I was still doing catering. I was helping my mom with her catering business at the time. But I started doing something called Chef Fregz Special as well, because I was bored. I was my friend's cafe. Shout out to Cafe Licious, to my Akisha. And we started doing this thing called Chef Fregz Special. I did it for 12 specials. But in between, an opportunity came up for me to do fine dining private. Now, I didn't think the market was ready for what I learned in France. So, but what I learned in France was what I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
So, fun fact, I was meant to open a Jean-Georges restaurant in London with my chef in Paris. He had stated me like, oh, we speak English. You understand what we do here. We need to open in London. That restaurant didn't open. Mummy, I wept. I just went home one day and I just saw London disappear. It's kind of ironic because I kind of live there now.
Yeah,
And
I was gonna say.
And I watched it just disappear in front of me. I just thought, oh, my big break. You know, I was going to, lead the team because one thing I'm grateful to my chef, Jerome Tumlam. He made me work every section of that kitchen. From cold starter to, I didn't work pizza. I'm blind. I worked in the pizza section, but I didn't do pizza. And, and he was like, you're ready. You know what to do. I worked in prep, everything, There was a time I was doing 12-hour shifts, the works. So I had that energy, but I just thought in Nigeria is rice and,
Butter
and egusi, which is fine. But it wasn't what I was trying to do until I started getting the opportunities and defined that I wanted to do this. So it started to spread like wildfire and whatnot. And I don't post the work because I work with ultra private clients.
Yeah.
And only when I get to do, only when I get to do like brand work that I tend to share.
Sure.
So my brand has just been an ethos for my business in the last couple years. My staff, everybody, we have, when we call our clients, you will never even know their names.
Yeah.
You just, we're working. So.
Yeah. And that's how it is because there is a level of privacy that's required because as a private chef, it's in the name.
It's in
the name.
It's in the name.
But fun fact though, this is why sometimes, again, I'm talking about recklessness. I've been in this business where people forget themselves. They even walk into my space and they bring out their phone.
Yeah. No.
As you're bringing out the phone, I'm bringing out the door, opening it for you, and you're leaving. Because why are you opening your phone? Why?
Yeah.
Who told you? Is the knife and chopping board that is needed?
That's
not your phone.
Not your phone, yeah.
So yeah, people get excited.
Yeah. I hear that. I want to touch on something quick.
Sure.
Because you mentioned, the potential opportunity to open a restaurant in London, come in and go in.
Mumi, why are you giving us our WhatsApp conversations?
No, it's now. You mentioned that kind of coming and going. And you have mentioned you saw a lot of your peers or you have seen a lot of your peers that you started up with start something, come in, do their thing, find a space, open up. What are your own dreams for yourself for like an establishment, if you have any?
I do have dreams, but I want to be very honest on this podcast and say that. And I think I want to say it in case there's someone who feels the same way. Great people too suffer sometimes from a very high level of overthinking, and I'm not a big risk taker. I'm a very calculated risk taker. I'm the kind of person that if 1 + 1 is not even going to give me 1.5, I'm not doing it. I need to know the result to like 75% before I hop in. So not doing a restaurant, it's kind of a funny story. I was afraid for a couple of years. I just thought it wouldn't do well. Don't ask me why. I used to be an overthinker. I just thought it wouldn't do well. So there was a safety with my private chef work. But the thing was, I realized later that if I wasn't dreaming big, I wasn't going to get big.
There we go.
So as much as I wasn't a risk taker, risk is a necessary ingredient to get to the next level.
100%.
So, but funny story, the year I learned that, I had to pack up my bags and leave this country.
Okay.
When I say leave this country, I like to say expand because I still live in Nigeria as well. So let's just say an opportunity just opened up for my family. And that's the thing. When you get married, if you are single now, please don't do what I did. Like, even if you don't have a dream, go and look for other people's dream. See the one that you can do, then go for it. Like, look, ChatGPT is here for you. ChatGPT, what should I dream about? It will tell you. It will tell you what to do and do it. Like, the worst thing is that you are going to fail. And I promise you, nobody died from failure. Actually. And if anything, failure is going to teach you so much.
So much.
Diary of a CEO podcast, I can't remember his name now. He said that he did 30 businesses and failed. And that's what's made him the billionaire he is today. So now with the whole restaurant, so now talking about what the restaurant thing is, like I said, I had to pack up and leave. And I was a bit sad because it's like the one time I finally moved past myself, I had to sacrifice that dream for my family's dream. I had to become a dad. I had to, like my mates were opening restaurants, were doing things. I was bathing a 2-year-old. But all my friends told me, Abu, you'll never get that moment back. It's important. It's this, it's that. Anyway, I'm over that phase now. I recently launched 4 new brands. I have a creative agency. There's Chef Fregz, there's Jaye, and there's Canopies by Chef Fregz. So this is stage 1 in building what my dream is. So what is my dream? My dream is just to live fully with all my potential. So I'm a creative. I cook so many different ranges of food. And to build a proper business that is scalable, and which is something that I'm sure you are going to touch on, and just want to say it here so that someone learns. As a creative, at some point, you need to step back from your creativity and start to think in numbers and in like, as a business person, you have to be an engineer at some point. So that's the phase I'm. So with London, for example, thankfully, shout out to Nigerian music, Nigerian fashion that made, and just Nigerians basically, our a little loud, abrasive nature has finally gotten us a seat at some table. People want to be Nigerian. People want to wear Nigerian, be Nigerian, talk Nigerian. So I'm in a ripe stage of my life where I think that I can do something in London. So I'm just thinking of doing something that says it's, I don't know, think Chishiru, think Shakara London. Maybe not Shakara though. What them Victor are doing is nice, but it's not really me. Chishiru is kind of what I would do. I don't know. Sajoke is incredible. That mushroom mama is giving me good memories.
So good.
So I want to do something that, so if you've ever seen my kind of food, I always like to take one ingredient and do it in 4 different ways. I always like a good sauce. I always like 3 sauces on the plate. And I think one thing that maybe is still lacking in London is still merging that very authentic with the more like, I don't want to use the word refined. As Joker said, we should not say Nigerian food is not refined, but not looking like a big plate of swallow and a big plate of soup. So that to the to a new eater of Nigerian food, and even to you as a Nigerian person, you want to experience the food in a different form and put it in your mouth and be like, whoa, are you kidding me? For example, nobody would think that egusi could be ice cream. You know, when we started making a white chocolate and Iru ice cream, people are like, no, but I'm like, you eat miso ice cream if you travel to London.
Yeah.
There's no difference, you know. When we started doing our pop-ups at our studio, we started doing, you know, like I've been doing I've been playing with me and Taoshi for years because I did a Coca-Cola cookbook, discovered the soup. I was like, what?
Yeah.
This kind of food exists. So I started playing with it in different ways and whatnot. So really trying to, that's kind of my dream and my goal, to open like a 30-seater, nothing too big, too small. I want it to just be somewhere where I'm adding to that pie of Nigerian culture in the diaspora.
No, that sounds amazing.
And in Nigeria as well, I want like Chef Fregz to be brick and mortar very soon.
Okay.
And I do want to have like a Fregz spot as well.
So I see like an umbrella.
It is an umbrella.
Like a food LVMH.
Yes.
So that's what Chef Fregz recently just, we restructured to a group now.
Conglomerate, yeah. I love that.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
And I think with everything you've just said, it's a reminder to people in the industry that there are so many avenues to go for. It's not a race, a sprint to get to the finish line.
It's not.
Fregz has been in this industry for
And I see
15 years and he's building and establishing legacy. And that's the thing. If it's really important to you to be someone that wants to create change or impact in this industry, it does take time and it takes intentionality, and it's not something that's just going to happen overnight. I think why I'm listening to myself as I'm speaking, I think why maybe a lot of chefs are still doing, you know, they're still in control of I would say, like, when we don't have too many chef-owned restaurants or too many people just rushing into it, because we're very particular. We don't just want to do something and just say we're just doing it for doing sake, like how it is with the entertainment, lifestyle, clubbing industry, that those things can just happen with a snap of a finger. But here, what do we really want to do that provides difference? And if it's not a restaurant, it can be something else.
Yeah.
You know, we have to really be intentional about where we want to.
And I think that intentionality also comes from the fact that it's your name. With other industries, it's not your name. If you call it, I don't know, the Iroko Tree Club, if it goes down and if it goes to shit, everybody's okay. But as Chef Fregz or Chef Wu, that restaurant owned by that, it's you. So then when that goes to shit, you go to shit.
Exactly.
So it's so tightly connected with you that it's so important that you execute it in a way that honors your name as well as your vision.
And a reminder for those who are just coming into the industry, you spoke about Michael coming in and opening it. Some people just thought this man came from nowhere and just opened. Michael has been in the industry for...
Michael has been working since he was
and literally in New York.
Since he could walk. Yeah, in New York. A funny story. I met Michael, but I didn't know I met Michael. So on my food tour I told you about, I went to 11 Madison Park at the time.
Okay.
There are no seats. They said you couldn't get it online. So I called them. I'm like, please, I'm a chef from Nigeria. I'm literally coming to New York. And this is like the top one of the restaurants I need to eat at. They're like, oh, sure, we'll book you in. Again, I was in my vlogging and blogging era. I was my camera, taking pictures. I documented the whole thing. And after my dining experience, I see 3 people walk up to me. I'm just like, no, I can't pay the bill. Like, if you don't arrest me.
Get out.
And no, they look like, they're like, oh, we want to take you to the kitchen.
Heaven made. I can imagine.
I had tears in my eyes. By the way, they gave me the most delicious cucumber martini I've ever drank in my life. And I go downstairs, Daniel Home is in one corner doing the new menu. And I was just like, God, I have seen you now. Let me die. Like, let me go. And he's in the corner there just being angelic. And they take me to get like a apple snow cone, you know, freshly done. They show me all the workstations and I take a selfie with a bunch of people. So when Michael is coming to Nigeria, he had posted a few incredible photos on Instagram. He had done this jollof rice and like, I think quail with like tomatoes. I can never forget that plate. I was like, what's this? So I find him. We meet up at my grandpa's office at the time. And we're going through pictures on my laptop. I was like, go back. Like, that's me in the background. So he was interning at the time, you know, at 11 Madison Park. So when he came and said he wanted to do something, I was just like, it's going to be solid.
Yeah.
Like, no doubt. So I'm not surprised. So it's taking time.
Yeah.
It's taking time.
And I think those journeys are the best. I think they're the ones that you look at and you go, yeah, this is something I would like to emulate. This is something that inspires me. This is what it means to be a chef. Because that's someone that showed you they were interning and he was in the back of that picture and he was just
literally minding his business.
Do you get what I mean? And now you cannot have a conversation about people that are doing stellar work in this industry without naming
his
him.
name.
And it took him working his way up. There's a beauty in that, and I feel like that's definitely something we and everybody else should take from that.
Yes.
So we're gonna just do one little thing. The next gen of chefs, if you could say to them, very succinct, a piece of advice.
You need to be. Can I say this one first? Being popular is not by force.
God bless you.
Say it again, please.
Being popular is not by force. And I know it's very rich coming from me. Being popular is not by force. Don't desire to be popular. Now, I desired to be a celebrity chef, and that's the truth. Now, let me tell you where the balance is. That's because to a degree, I saw a lot of myself in someone. Not everybody is going to be the triangle that fits in a triangle space. Your personality is not it. Your character is not it. And it's not just working. Me, to a degree, I've been a public speaker since secondary school. There were elements of me that I saw that, okay, Jamie Oliver and Gordon Ramsay, they are right for TV. They are right for the shows that they did. Jamie Oliver was assisting a chef. The people from BBC came to the chef. They now saw Jamie Oliver and said, actually, that's the person we want to go with. He had a very lazy, there was just something about him. So now you can't use that as a yardstick that Chef Fregz is popular, so I'm not popular. No. You must desire to be effective.
Exactly.
You must desire to be valuable.
Exactly.
Umi knows my head chef at Chef. Wayne is now the group head chef, by the way.
Of course he is.
Do you understand? Wayne used to be a waiter at Mile.
Oh, really? Wow.
And I trained him from the ground up.
Yeah.
Now, before getting here today, we had to shoot some content. Normally, Wayne will be in video. Wayne this time around was in Mufti, was sorting out other people to do things. He is effective and he is earning and succeeding and even has even bigger goals.
Yeah.
Because he's in a business now where he's not just earning his salary, he's now a co-owner as well. So if you are valuable, you would find value back. But if you think being popular is the goal, if you think being known is the goal,
Very short-lived.
it's very short-lived. Let me tell you, I'm popular, I'm known. In days I'll be broke. I've called my friends and family to be like, yo, could I owe $5 till tomorrow? And you know you're not getting that money back. Do you understand? I've had times where it's just business at the end of the day. The reality is, Chef Fregz, who you help? Brand that would work with you today, they won't work with you tomorrow. Do you understand? It's never always light camera action. In fact, light camera action is expensive. You have to soak clothes. You have to rent camera. You have to do this. You have to,
Honestly, it's a fun.
Then if you don't have a good car,
business.
look, you want to be popular, but you're still entering bus or you're still ordering Uber. Then you now spend your money that you just used to and buy fry pan. You now go and order Lexus so that when they do the content, they're seeing you coming down from a nice car. Excuse me, please. Do you understand?
Yeah, it's expensive.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
The desire is not to be popular, it is to be effective.
And it
So
comes.
that's-
I mean, and these things, when you have a value, when you provide something,
And you may never be popular, and I need you to listen. I need whoever. Sorry, let me say it. See, dear chef, young chef, you may never be popular. Go to bed and sleep with it. It's not a swear, it's not a curse. You may never ever be popular. You may not be popping. But let me tell you something. You are going to be successful. Because you'll be valuable, then you'll be successful. Because you may just be the chef that everybody needs. You may be the chef that Wumi does a lot of consulting. What if Wumi says, you know what, go and man this place, and you now grow with that group and you're earning in millions. Then Chef Lagbaja, that is popular, coming on online, hey guys, personally have Shimba in their account.
literally, what's this, at the end of the day? What's are you making in your accounts?
Yeah.
What are you
The
providing
numbers
that is
that are
actually- like, to me,
important.
it's all about service. What are you? It's a service industry it's not an entertainment industry. It is a service-led industry. And that is how you keep clients. That's how you attract clients. That's how you get people to call your name and say, this person is doing something that I need them to be doing.
Yeah.
And everyone sees the lights, camera, action of being popular, like you said, but there's so many different people in the whole ecosystem of the restaurant industry. It is hospitality. You have the sous chefs, you have the line chefs, you have prep chefs, you have waiters, you have back of house, front of house. Every single person is important. You have those who you have to look at your personality and say, maybe I am better capable of working under someone, working with a company, not putting I'm not risk averse to, or business averse to know how to launch a business. Not everyone is a businessman either. One thing I wanted to mention earlier was that you may have a dream of opening a restaurant, but you have no business acumen. And a lot of people who have businesses internationally, sometimes maybe an investor or someone might come to you. That's even a gold card. Someone might come and see your vision and say, I will take on the business side because you can't handle it, you know. And a lot of chefs are behind the scenes. There's many restaurants where you don't even know who the chefs are. You know, but what they're doing behind the state, they said, I have a militant team to handle. I can do that. I can handle the kitchen. All I care about is bringing out the food. Yeah. There's so many avenues to go about this, but we have to ask yourself, who are you? What are your strengths? And what are you providing?
So yeah,
I agree.
Succinct, right?
I always call you the OG celeb chef. If people are talking about celebrity chefs, you are the first and foremost.
God be the glory for that.
Amen. How have you balanced that?
I think balance. I think my own personal faith, Christian value. I had a deal with God that if I blow, okay, I heard the story about Iya Adeboye, Pastor Daddy Gio. For they fight me online that I use my mouth to call him Adeboye. That, you know, God told him to rise in the sand. Then Clary had said that the day you become proud, that's the way you wipe away. Yeah. That kind of scared me. I was like, damn, do I need to really be that submitted to the Lord? But there was no template for me to follow. All the templates I had were in London. I'm not going to London. So I was like, God, I need a break in this industry. I need to come out and I want to leave this dream of, like, Jamie Oliver doesn't have two heads. You know, this is what I want to do. I'm passionate. I know this thing. So I just wanted to always keep a level head on purpose, not to come across as, you know, proud of any achievement that I've done. And I think eventually I actually don't really like the spotlight as people think that I do.
He's lying, Jerry.
No, let me explain. I do love a good time. Because V is looking at me like, boy, quit lying. Like your eyes just dropped. Okay, no, let me say. Let me rewind. I have a battery for the spotlight.
Okay,
better.
And when it's time to turn off, I actually like being at home, being with my friends, doing things like everyday regular people do, quote, so to speak. I don't carry myself with any extra. I carry myself with the right amount of self-importance. I like to dress well. I like to smell good. I like to show up a certain way. And I'm doing it for me. I'm not doing it for
somebody else.
Do you understand? So I think that what helps me back in the day before I got married, any little change, I've gone to Dubai. Any little change, I've gone to America. London used to give me Ella for visa. See how it worked out for them.
Look at that.
So I used to just find a trip somewhere to go to. And as far as I was in look, then I got married to, thankfully, my wife too is super grounded. You know, we like to just keep things that for, like, we have to tell some guests, like, please don't post our house on Instagram. Like, it's that bad. Like, we're just like, some things are for the house, some things are for the family. So we just like to keep things like super chill so that we don't feel like we're doing anything for cameras or doing anything for that. The things to do for the car, we will do it. I show up on Instagram. I show people my son's food, for example. There are some things I will share. I'm a human being. You know, I'm real. But you don't need to know the exact time I'm waking up, for example. You don't need to know the day I'm boarding a plane, you know, directly. Do you understand? I don't think I'm not extra and desperate about, because at the end of the day, I'm really a chef first to my client.
Thank you.
As far as Owomi Lati pay, like, once my money is complete, Instagram is vibes, social media is, you know, is nice. Hi, Chef Fregz, I love your perfume. Great. But I want to make my clients happy first. That's who I actually If they tell me that it wasn't good, I've lost sleep. Yeah. But my clients, my family, and when there's extra money, I have 2 children now, so
No, now you have 2.
oh rough. Yes, 2 children. So anything enjoyment, I have to calculate very well. Is there milk? Is there school fees? And my children, they are costly babies.
Baby. I mean, they have your genes now.
No, it's not even that. They're just in the era they're in. I used to always ask someone like, how did our parents do it? Like, are they drinking Kendami Love? How many thousand naira?
It was different back then.
Anyway.
Shout out to SMA. Where did we go? Okay.
Amazing.
Do you want to lead the one?
I'll lead the one bite because I love it. But yeah, that was a really good conversation. I'll say that first. Thank you, Fregz, for
having me.
Highlight.
Thank you.
So we're now doing our
one
bite segment.
I've never. Sorry, I don't know what the one bite is.
So for those who do not know, Fregz, you should know.
I'm sorry, I know, and I should know.
It's literally in the name. So what we're going to do, we bring up a topic, a conversation, something that's just interesting, and we give a little one bite, just a little, no story, no.
All right, let's do it.
No frivolous exaggeration, just a little one bite of what you think.
Okay.
So there's just been this little discussion happening online, especially with cuisine and how cuisines are being created, right? And the discourse has primarily been in the Black social media space, primarily between the Black Americans, Black British, but all in all to talk about how the diaspora in cuisine has expanded. So we know from the transatlantic, we've had African American cuisine, we've had the Caribbean cuisine, Jamaican cuisine, all of that stuff, soul food, all those things. Even in Brazil, we have the Bahian cuisine.
Mm-hmm.
So there was just this whole discourse happening in the UK, for example, with why is British food so bad? That was the first thing. And then it turned out that the only food that was worth celebrating was everything that is not British. That's what they came out and said. They insulted the British people and said it's only the non-British food that is keeping that country alive. And especially till this date now, the Africans, the Caribbeans, they've mentioned, of course, the Jamaican Windrush that's happened. So a lot of Jamaican restaurants have established, and a lot of Nigerian restaurants now in the past year have come up, Chisu, Akara. So they were just asking, and some people were like, no, what's the next cuisine for that is going to come out of the diaspora? Maybe they're now saying that, black, is black. What's it? What I say? Afro-British. And we're like,
what is Afro-British?
Thank you. What is Afro-British?
So,
is that a thing?
Like,
no, it's not.
Like a full English with Akara.
I know I'm gonna do that.
No, honestly, and
what is Afro? No. Pause.
Exactly.
Like a Greg's pie, but a goosey inside. I saw someone do that on Instagram.
Yeah, Shola J, she be doing the shit, man, and her shit is good.
She does, exactly.
So I'm just like, is that what we're doing now?
So professionals had to ask, like, what are you trying to say? I think there's been a bit of confusion. Okay,
this is what I'll say. This is my one bite.
Go on.
Afro-British is wild. Whoo. However, maybe an argument for that would be using British produce to create African food. But Afro-British is wild to me. I would agree. I would stand for British lamb, for example, 10 out of 10. British short rib, 10 out of 10. So I want to see that in a little egusi cream, a little chili. What's that Rodo syrup you made?
Which one?
I don't know. Rodo pearls.
Oh, the Rodo pearls.
Rodo pearls, some sort of mashy plantain, like plantain.
I love plantain.
And maybe some spinach. Let's keep it simple.
Yeah.
But nice, little nice garnish, I could see that, but I'm not calling that Afro-British, no. It's British produce for African food. Afro-British just like a black pudding.
I love it.
Like a black pudding.
Like a black pudding. With kimchi.
These are beautiful. But, okay.
Oh, wait. Pause. Called canon with maybe, I don't know, me and Taushe butter. Like, what is going on?
You see?
But still, that's fusion.
Yeah, but that's now fusion. And so my thing is, when people, from what I understand of the conversation that's going on, when people are talking about Afro-British, what they're trying to do is coin a term for this mergence of our cuisine that has happened.
What's merging our cuisine?
Hold on, let me land. Someone that grew up in the UK, I have first-hand experience of how our food, by way of the way our communities were, was all intertwined. Do you get what I mean? So our rice and peas is our jollof rice, our plantain. Because growing up there, you realize plantain is not just for us.
Yes.
The Brazilians eat it. The Caribbeans eat it. We eat it. It's not just us. A lot of our food is like that. So what has then happened is then growing up there, you're then like, oh, you know, it's just, you just see it as food. Like, this is the food we eat. Oh, there's a Jamaican shop down there. There's a Nigerian takeaway down there on Barking Road. Do you get what I mean? So it's very much this thing where, as people are now trying to solidify our cuisine and our food and put everything in a label, they want to force this Afro-British thing. So it's not even, you are thinking more fusion, you are thinking in a very elevated way, whereas they're talking about your average because the conversation came off the back of the whole Keith Lee going to London thing. So people are now trying to, is there a way to now turn this into its own subsection of Kinney? And I don't agree that there is, or there's a necessity for that. Because the reality of it is all of that got to the UK because of mass migration. And so if you look at British cuisine, a British person will tell you that a chicken korma is British, but it's not. It's Indian. Fish and chips, I don't even think that's British. Like bangers and mash, the bangers that we're talking about is German. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's like, is there even a British cuisine, so to speak, before you are now saying Afro-British? It is not by force.
Potatoes and eels.
So are we saying that, I think, from what you're saying is a type of cuisine, because of mass migration, forced mass migration, came to stay and settle in a land that has now evolved to be home to generations down under. I don't know. I don't think there's anything British like in the authenticity about the cuisine. I think it's safe to just call it Afro cuisine.
Yeah.
A black or African person can be British by naturalization or whatever, immigration or whatever.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take away, for example, that it's like me calling, I don't know, it's like me saying that, I mean, I can say that you're British, but you will clearly have a certain heritage and culture. So it's okay to say that you have, you know, Indian heritage, Jamaican heritage is fine. There's no need to call you Jamaican British or so. I know
but they be doing it.
They be doing it. Well, I don't think it's necessary.
Calling it Afro-British. One second. My one bite on this is 5 bites. Calling it Afro-British is another form of colonialism. But I'm going to leave it there.
Okay. I think where I wanted to land my one bite was to really just understand what is the difference between cuisine and fusion. And these cuisines that I've spoken about, Bahian cuisine, Afro-American cuisine, Jamaican cuisine, they have all been from centuries and centuries of mass migration happening, being put in a new environment, being exposed to new people. For example, the African slaves that were now exposed to Native Americans, they merged their ingredients, they merged their spices to create something that was familiar, yet it had to be new, yet had to be home. And this was then passed down from generations to generations. Yet you can still find some sort of way to bring it back. You can still, if you want to do the research, you can see, I see why gumbo is like okra or collard green is like efforiro. You can see where they got the inspiration from. Afro-British is not a thing. It's not there. I think potentially if we give it 200 years... it's not in our life. We've all come back home by then. It's not in our lifetime. But it really, this Windrush, these Africans that came to Britain, the Jamaicans that came to Britain, for example, this was how many years ago? It's a generation part, you know.
Generation.
Just what? It's not that far really. It could really be your grandparents.
Windrush was really people's grandparents.
Windrush.
So it's not enough for a cuisine to have come about and be fully developed. And it probably, I don't even think it's going to be called Afro-British, to be honest. It might be a different name. But where we are now is just fusion. We're seeing, a roast dinner with, like you said, we can add akara. You can have
Caribbean inspired roast dinner, but that's all it is.
Putting Jamaican jerk and jollof rice in a plate together is not Afro-British.
And
Jamaican is not British food. Like, let's be clear.
It's okay, and it's okay to
and
eat.
It's okay.
It's like they're not like Asian British, for example. Because I eat a lot of Asian food. I'm going to a Thai restaurant. I'm going to Plaza Cow Gang, and everything about it is Thai, but it's in London, so. Let's be guided.
So yes, let's be guided.
Let's be guided. All right.
But that's great.
We hope everyone enjoyed this conversation today. Fregz, it was amazing to get some insight from you.
So you guys should have me back. I think
we need to do part 2, part 3, because there's still so much that we'd look.
There's so many stories to share, and I'm ready to talk now. I ran away from podcasts.
I'm so glad.
So this is the first food. I mean, I've talked before. I'm happy I get this. Thank you guys.
You're very welcome. So, as usual, all episodes can be found on YouTube and all your podcast streaming platforms.
And make sure to like, follow, subscribe, comment, all that jazz, everything that's important to us by following all our pages at @onebitepod_. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, across all the social media platforms. And we want to say thank you to Mile, our venue partners, for giving us this space to chat and talk. It was great.
And we also want to thank our sponsors, the Bodega Emporium and Circle Lagos, for supporting our vision and helping us bring this podcast to life.
We look forward to dishing
it out with you, one bite at a time.